I want you to just picture something in your own kitchen for a second. That that simple red and white can of Campbell's soup, it might be sitting there in your pantry, next to ingredients that cost 10 times as much. But that can, it's not about aspiration.
No, it's about continuity.
Exactly. It's about this deeply held promise that on a really tough night, that $2.50 investment is going to deliver a warm, familiar, reliable meal.
It really is. I mean, it's the ultimate symbol of constancy, you could say,
Yeah.
in American commerce. It's been a staple for 155 years.
Right.
And that is precisely why the recent scandal was so seismically disruptive.
Yeah.
The alleged comments from a VP calling the product and its customers, shit for rough, poor people.
It felt like more than just a standard PR disaster. It was almost like a crisis of faith.
It was.
That comment, it didn't just expose an employee problem. It felt like it exposed a fundamental identity crisis for a brand built, entirely on serving the many.
And our mission for this deep dive is to look at this crisis, but not through the usual lens of, say, corporate damage control or CPG strategy.
Okay.
We are going to examine this through the framework of brand sovereignty. And we're using a really powerful and detailed analysis. It's titled, From Poor People Food to the People's Pantry, Campbell's Choice.
And it was written by Mark Abergel.
Yes.
Who is, and was so interesting, a luxury executive based in Paris. So he usually deals with brands like Hermès or LVMH.
Exactly. So he's taking the principles of meticulous brand stewardship from that world where every single detail matters, and he's applying them to this mass market challenge.
So the question becomes what?
The central question he's posing is, how do you steward dignity when your primary design constraint is affordability?
That is a fascinating way to frame it. Okay, so let's unpack this. I think to understand the gravity of that VP's alleged contempt, we have to start with the historical role of Campbell's.
We do.
Because it's so much more than just a food product. It's functioned almost like a public utility.
Abergel calls it a quiet piece of national infrastructure. And honestly, that's not an exaggeration.
Right.
Just look at its role during moments of national stress. During the Great Depression, Campbell's didn't pull back. In 1934, they launched their two biggest icons, noodle soup and cream of mushroom for a dime.
A dime. They were innovating specifically for affordability in the middle of a total financial collapse.
And that commitment just kept going. During World War II, the company pivoted to produce rations, things like meat and beans, for U.S. troops. It literally followed Americans from the mess tent right back into their home kitchens.
Establishing this unparalleled sense of constancy.
And that continuity is exactly how it gets woven into the social fabric.
Yeah.
We're talking about generational memory.
Oh, yeah.
The sound of that can popping open, the Thanksgiving green bean casserole ritual.
The first meal a kid learns to make for themselves.
Yes, or the survival food in a college dorm. For 150 million Americans, Campbell's isn't just on the shelf. It's like carried in those emotional memory banks.
And this is where Abergel's analysis really gets interesting. He classifies Campbell's as a cultural nation. He puts it in the same category as these global powerhouses like LVMH or Starbucks. How does a simple can of soup even get that comparison?
Well, it's because it has the markers of what he calls a sovereign entity. It goes beyond a simple transaction. First, you have a devoted constituency that spans generations.
Okay.
Second, it drives these seasonal rituals. And that green bean casserole is arguably the most famous food ritual in America that doesn't involve a turkey.
That's true. And the third marker, which is so powerful visually, is its use of symbols. I mean, we all know the Andy Warhol art.
Right. And Abergel argues Warhol wasn't painting the cans as some kind of irony. He was painting them as American vernacular.
Vernacular, the common everyday language.
Exactly. Warhol saw that Campbell's was already this iconic, collective, democratic visual. It wasn't just a product. It was like the background noise of American life.
And that gives it immense cultural power. So if we've got constituency, rituals, symbols, the last marker has to be the most important one.
It is. Emotional infrastructure and generational transmission.
The sensory shortcut to safety.
That's it. The taste, the warmth, the sound, that legacy gets passed down. It provides emotional infrastructure. But this is where Campbell's has to define itself differently from the luxury brands.
Okay, let's nail down that difference. A brand like Hermès builds desire through scarcity, right? Exclusivity, a high price. Campbell's builds trust through what?
Through constancy and affordability. It doesn't ask you to reach for it. It asks you to rely on it.
To rely on it being there exactly as it always was.
And critically, at a price that feels like it's always been there, inflation be damned. It is foundational, not aspirational.
And when an executive allegedly directs venom at that foundational product and the people who rely on it,
It's catastrophic.
Abergel calls that alleged contempt diagnostic. He says it reveals internalized class shame. That's a really powerful term.
It is.
What does that diagnosis tell us? How is class shame different from just, being a corporate snob?
Well, it's important because it's not just about personal arrogance. He sees it as a systemic symptom. The psychology scholar Johanna Collier, she suggests this kind of shame is a defense mechanism.
Okay.
High-status individuals, like a corporate VP, are motivated to harshly judge lower-status individuals. It's a way to assert and justify their own difference from the very people the company is supposed to serve.
So the contempt reveals that the leadership sees the core mission affordability not as a strength, but as a dirty secret.
Exactly. A dirty secret to be tolerated.
Wow. Okay, so the problem isn't the affordability, it's the shame of the affordability.
Precisely.
And this brings us to what I think is the most powerful part of the analysis, the two tales of $1.50.
Yeah, this is great.
So on one side, you have the Campbell's VP allegedly showing disgust for a $2.50 product.
And on the other, you have the legendary commitment of Jim Sinegal, co-founder of Costco, to the $1.50 hot dog and soda combo.
A price that has not changed since 1985.
Not a cent. And the story is famous. When the CFO suggested raising the price, Sinegal didn't just say no. He said, "If you raise the price of the hot dog, I will kill you. Figure it out."
That statement, as extreme as it sounds, it defines operational sovereignty. They didn't pass the cost on, they figured it out.
They figured it out. They vertically integrated. They built their own hot dog manufacturing plant. They chose internal optimization over an external price hike.
And that hot dog, it isn't a loss leader. Abergel calls it a social contract.
A social contract written in mustard and bun. It signals to their massive membership base that the company will physically defend affordability. They're fighting for the customer.
And you can see the ROI on that trust. Their membership renewal rate is consistently over 90%.
And when they finally did raise the membership fee, churn was minimal. Why? Because the hot dog price was defended. That loyalty just compounds.
So trust becomes your most efficient marketing engine.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Which raises the question, can Campbell's achieve that same level of sovereign pride?
And Abergel's analysis says they can by looking at the second big analogy, IKEA.
Yes. IKEA serves that exact same demographic. Young couples, students, single parents. But they lead with this immense, unapologetic pride in what they do.
Their whole concept of democratic design is transformative.
It is, because it reframes the whole process.
Yeah.
They treat a low price not as, a constraint to be overcome, but as a design principle as sacred as form or quality.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly.
There's that great quote from the founder, Ingvar Kamprad. He said, "To design a desk which may cost $1,000 is easy, but to design a functional and good desk for $50 can only be done by the very best."
I love that. It just completely flips the script.
Yeah.
Affordability isn't a failure of design. It's the ultimate design challenge. It requires more creativity, more ingenuity.
It shifts it from a source of shame to a badge of genius.
Yes. And you see this everywhere in their operations. They celebrate the flat pack model. It's not just a shortcut. They tell you it's the reason the LECK side table is only $10.
They make the customer complicit in the affordability.
And they infuse aesthetic dignity. Even their cheapest stuff feels intentionally designed. The message is, you deserve beauty, even on a budget.
It's a gesture of respect, not charity.
And crucially, like Costco, they enforce operational sovereignty. They own their supply chain, even their own forests, to absorb costs and innovate before passing them on.
So they defend affordability from the inside out.
They do. So the takeaway for Campbell's is to shift from shame to sovereignty, to engineer affordability with pride.
Okay, so how do they do it? Abergel lays out a 4-pillar playbook for this redesign.
And this is where we move from diagnosis to action. These aren't just PR fixes, they are structural changes. Pillar 1. Reclaim narrative sovereignty.
Which means?
The CEO has to publish a bold, maybe even unvetted manifesto titled something like, "We make food for people who count every dollar, and we're proud of it."
Unvetted. Wow, that's a radical move in the corporate world. It's basically saying the mission comes before the cautious language of legal and IR.
It has to be that clear. A declarative statement. We are a comfort brand for the many.
Seizing authorship of their own identity.
Exactly. Then, pillar 2 is to activate the dormant community. Turn passive customers into active citizens of this cultural nation.
How does that look in practice?
You launch a platform, call it Share Your Campbell's Ritual. Invite people to share their real, authentic, sometimes messy, end-of-month recipes, their life raft moments.
And when customers become co-authors of the brand story, they become its defenders.
They do.
Yeah.
And Abergel draws this powerful parallel to luxury here.
Oh, this is interesting.
Chanel invites its VIPs to private salons to create exclusivity. Campbell's offers dignity through recognition. They invite the single mom to share her soup story and feature it. Her memory becomes valuable IP.
Different constituencies, same principle of respect. I like that.
Pillar 3 applies the IKEA playbook directly to food. Designed for the many. Proudly.
So the internal mandate becomes what? A non-negotiable triad?
Beautiful, comforting, affordable, and all innovation has to focus relentlessly on perfecting that $2.50 price point. That's the Costco move.
And transparency is key. They should publish something like how we keep soup at $2.50, showing the operational genius required.
And finally, Pillar 4. This might be the most unique part. The Campbell's Truth Council.
A truth council? Governing dignity. What would that even be made of?
It has to be diverse and external. Abergel suggests a public health nutritionist, a sociologist of food and class, and most importantly, a low-income parent advocate.
But wouldn't a council like that just slow everything down?
It acts as a governing check, not a brake. Its mandate is a quarterly review of product nourishment, respectful marketing, and making sure the rhetoric matches reality.
So it's like Hermes quality councils, which make sure every Birkin bag is perfect.
But for dignity, the Truth Council ensures every Campbell's product respects its customer. It prevents future toxic VPs because the accountability is formalized, external, and permanent.
This whole analysis, it really boils down to this idea that the real divide in commerce today isn't luxury versus mass.
No, it's between brands that respect their constituency, Costco, IKEA, Hermes, and those that don't.
And dignity is profitable.
Absolutely. The ROI is clear. Loyalty compounds. Word of mouth replaces expensive advertising look at Trader Joe's. And top talent gravitates to mission-driven companies.
Campbell's already has all the pieces, the memories, the infrastructure, that sacred place in the pantry, 155 years of history.
It just needs leadership willing to fully own that mission with pride, to see affordability not as an embarrassment, but as its greatest competitive innovation.
So we'll leave you with this final question to think about. The most efficient way for a mass brand to regain trust isn't to increase product quality for the wealthy, but to structurally protect the dignity of its most financially constrained customer. Does this analysis suggest that the greatest corporate innovation today isn't in creating new premium products, but in engineering affordable constancy?